Okay, this is part 2 of a 3-part series on the 7 amazing benefits of fasting. And we just want to remind you that we are preparing you, letting you know that we are planning a 5-day water fast the end of October. It's October 25th through the 29th. And we have done, several of these the past couple of years, and we're just trying to get a big, large group together so we can all cheer each other on during this water fast, learn from each other, and it's just a really fun thing to do as a group. And so our goal is to get, last time we had about 130 people following on our Fast for Health page, and now we went 200 to 250, somewhere in there. That's our goal. So remember, follow our Fast for Health page on Facebook and share this with your friends and family so they can follow along as well. We've already had several people join that page, so that's
really?
Yeah, pretty cool to see. All right, so here we are, the 7 amazing benefits of fasting. Yesterday we talked about autophagy, that was number 1. And then we also talked about...
That's when the body starts gobbling up all the bad cells, cleaning up the debris.
And then we talked about the increase in stem cells, so those baby cells that don't know what they want to be when they grow up, they go around and fix everything that needs fixed. And then our number 3 for today are ketones, and ketones are awesome. I love ketones. So anytime your body is forced to switch over energy modes, just like switching over using fat for energy, you have an increase in ketones. You want to explain that process a little bit?
Yeah, so if you eat carbohydrates or even protein, if you look at the mechanisms there, they're broken down into a glycolytic pathway, glyco meaning sugar, lytic meaning burn. So you're burning sugar. So you really kind of have 2 pathways. It's a little more complicated than that with protein, but it's in the sugar burning pathway, so it increases your blood sugar. And then you have fat, which breaks down to ketones, which is a usable form of energy, especially by your brain. And so, we have really old genetics. They're tens of thousands of years old. We have hunter-gatherer genes, and we're designed to go into these periods of fasting or famine where we actually, glucose drops to levels that people aren't used to, but they feel great because their ketones go up. And so during that time, that's when your body goes around, like we talk about autophagy, gobbling up cancer, like eating white blood cells that are triggered for autoimmune, all these sort of things. So anytime we see a ketone rise, you're going to downregulate cellular inflammation. We're going to heal the gut. So what does that mean? So we talked about leaky gut and how that's just one of our 3 pillars in how we get people better. It's through food, which is diet variation, fasting, intermittent fasting, a whole bunch of stuff. Gut, so seal the gut. It's leaky from the chemicals we're exposed to. Seal it up, but then usually when you have leaky gut, you have bad bugs in there, and a lot of those bugs, candida, parasites, they feed on sugar. So when we're switching this body metabolism from sugar to fat burning, you're actually going to, in part, heal the gut. That's one of the benefits. Healing the brain.
That's huge.
So ketones are super important for your brain. Once it adapts, your metabolism shifts from sugar burning to fat burning, your brain will utilize these ketones. At first you get a little foggy, and you'll notice that in the fast, but once you're
fat adapted, which is what we call, it's an amazing feeling. You feel so clear-headed. You feel like sometimes we get into ketosis just to be able to be sharp about certain things, to give presentations.
Like a brain hack.
Yeah, absolutely. So and taking a test would be a great time to go into ketosis because you can think sharp. And then also the most amazing thing I think about ketosis or getting an increase in ketones would be it turns off bad genes and turns on good genes. And this happens when you get into a deeper state of ketosis rather than intermittent fasting. So this would be a more extended fast. You have that ability and that power to turn off those bad genes. So anybody with autoimmunity, that would be a great time to do a 5-day water fast to shut that off.
So she's using this term. Most people, like the way we were trained, is that your genes you're hardwired. Like if your parents had this and you have the same genes, you're going to have that. If your parents have diabetes, you're going to have diabetes. And the thing is, there's a little bit of truth to that. And unfortunately, we're, multiple generations into this toxic world, and we've never been more toxic in human history. And what's happening is bad genes are being turned on. Genes for cancer, genes for autoimmunity. And, you know, for instance, when you look at diabetes, so, you know, when diabetes runs in families, it's not because we have flawed genetics. I mean, your God-given genetics are tens of thousands of years old. They're healthy genes just trying to adapt to this toxic
Your body's
environment.
smart. It's trying to
super smart.
help you
So
survive.
when a doctor tries to tell you that heart disease is genetic and cancer is genetic and autism is genetic, you know, it's gone from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 30. I mean, that stuff doesn't make sense. There's a huge toxicity component there, but there's always a genetic component. Genes get turned on. So, for instance, you have healthy mom becomes unhealthy, becomes type 2 diabetic. The body's trying to protect the cells from the sugar and insulin, so it causes insulin resistance. So then that person's going to pass that tendency, say it's Aaron's mom, is going to pass that tendency down to Aaron. And Aaron just continues
To protect me.
to protect her. So your God-given genetics are like, you know, we're going to turn this thing on early to protect you early. So then Aaron lives the same standard American lifestyle, and she has that gene turned on or that genetic predisposition, and then her kids, you know, might be toddlers and be overweight. And the reason I say that, it's really not about being overweight, but that's a problem now. Childhood obesity is a problem, and so is diabetes. And because parents make sure their kids get 17 meals a day. We never skip a meal, right? But the fastest growing group of diabetics is kids under 5. How's that even possible? It used to take people a half a lifetime to become diabetic. It's because those genes are turned on. So unfortunately for those kids, they have to work harder. They can turn those off, like not be insulin resistant at all, live a long, healthy life, but they have to eat clean. And at some point, they're going to have to include fasting. I know I went off there, but it's really a big subject.
Powerful.
Yeah, and I'll go through that again in these later videos.
And then when we get into more of the training on fasting, we're going to talk about how your ketones are going to elevate, and we want them to be above 0.5, and the deeper into ketosis, you might even get up, you know, I've got up to 8 before in ketosis, and my glucose drops down, and when it's separating like that, that's a good thing. That means that your body is really using up those ketones. Okay. Number 4 for today, this is our last one that we're going to do today. This is energy diversion, and this just means that your body spends so much time and focus and energy on eating, digesting, metabolizing food, and when you stop that process, all of a sudden you have all this energy to do other things, like heal and repair the body. So, I don't know.
And you'll see that like in animals, like if a dog gets sick, they just stop eating. I mean, they know innately, so the dogs are gonna bark, my boys are home, but they know innately to just take it easy, not eat, and then their body, it's energy diversion. So their body, when they're fasting, their body can just like put all of its energy into immunity.
Yeah.
So it's really important because the average American eats 17 times a day, 17 meals a day, and it really beats our cellular energy down.
Yep, absolutely. So that's really cool. So we'll get to the last 3 tomorrow. So tune in. Make sure you share this with your friends and family, and make sure that you follow our Ask for Health page. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.